Good evening. Maureen Sky, Crafty Sky Lady, coming at you. That's right, you, my viewer, my subscribers. Well, I'm here this evening and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do a video about, right? And I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I research a lot. And I will admit I'm a little frustrated with, and I think we all get there as YouTubers at one point in our, in the process at one time or another, right? I definitely hear that from a lot of the videos, you know, how to do this and how to do that, and I got monetized, and you know, I've been on it since I want to say um 2021. I've been doing videos, and granted, you know, it's you know, my niche is that of, you know, crafty sky lady, crafty time with Maureen Sky. So I make sure I do a craft here and there. And most recently this year, I've targeted more, you know, of storytelling, just coming at you with a story, or usually a true story, something that happened in my life, or something I researched and had a little knowledge about, or something. And my channel is growing. You know, I don't mean to, you know, poo-poo anything. I'm frustrated. You know, I guess I'm a little jealous, and I will say that, of those who you know, are monetized, who got monetized in a shorter span of time. Let's say they were on for a year or on for 2 years even. And here I am since 2021. And I started out with the longest time with 9 subscribers. And just this past year, it's grown quite a bit. And I had 275 last week. But then, like, I did a video, I think YouTube kind of cleaned up a little bit of maybe some of the AI generated parts of that. So my numbers went down a little bit to 271, but that's okay. I'll take that. And I don't want this video to be about, oh, poo-poo me and I'm not monetized, and or that about numbers and views. They say don't go there. They say don't worry about that. And so I'm trying really hard not to worry about that and just keep going, just keep going. So that's what I'm doing tonight, folks. But I wanted to come at you with the feelings of what I'm going through right now in my life. YouTube being one of the frustrations or whatever, and a few other things. So I'm just gonna talk. I'm just gonna throw my feelings out there, my opinions, my thoughts, and see where this video goes. I have no set agenda. Really, not really. I have an idea maybe where I might want to go, but no real set agenda for anything that I'm going to talk about. And I also, like I talked about in another video that I haven't even put out yet, but about, you know, the whole editing thing. I find that the videos that I have done, and more so this past year, that I've done, and on part of last year, say from the fall on, um, the fall of 2025 on, I noticed that the videos that I did not edit, I just sat and talked and did it, um, actually got more views and do better on YouTube than the ones that I put a lot of thought into and edited. You know, like maybe I was, you know, you had a runny nose, so I got a tissue out, and so I wanted to cut that part out. I mean, who wants to see that, right? But I noticed that if I just don't even do that, if I just don't cut anything and just have at it, the videos do better. So, okay. So tonight, You're not gonna see me. I'm hoping to do one where I don't edit at all. So let's have it. Let's see where it goes with that. So anyway, yes, I find that I get a little jealous of those who are already monetized in a shorter span of time. Just being very honest, it's a little frustrating to see that someone who just came on a year ago, like I said, and they're monetized, and you look at their videos, and not they're not doing good stuff, but they're not much different from anything I'm doing. And I say to myself, well, why can't I be there? Why do I have to wait? Why is it my channel isn't getting the recognition instead of theirs? I'm doing pretty much the same thing. But, and then you wonder, is YouTube kind of picking and choosing, do they control that whole thing? I don't know. Anyway, so there's a part of me that says, oh, don't worry, and that's where I'm going mostly. I'm trying hard not to worry about that. But, how can you not think about it or give it some thought when, you're working hard at this? At least you feel like you're working hard. And I know they say don't stop, work harder. And so I get that. I think I have a pretty good work ethic. And so I am. I'm trying to be consistent. I'm trying to do at least 2 a week. And I'm shooting for like Wednesdays and Sunday, but it might be Tuesday and Saturday. And it's something like that. But anyway, so there's some of that frustration. So, I hope that gets a little better for me as far as how I'm wearing all of that, because I don't want to be frustrated. I want to be my fun loving self and not come here and feel like somebody just beat me up or something, if I'm making any sense. So there's that, and then there's that of a different area to talk about, but it has to do with feelings. And what am I feeling? Well, I'm feeling slight bit of sadness in that I miss dearly my granddaughter who just turned 13, and they were living with us for the last 9 months, right up until last August. And my daughter reunited with an old friend, and they became a couple. And then they all moved and took my granddaughter with them down to this person's home in Florida. So I have yet to go there, and I will. I'll get there eventually, and I'm happy for them. I am so happy for them. Don't get me wrong, all is good, and yet it's as a grandmother, as a mother, my daughter, and then as a grandmother to her daughter, who we've all are so close, and they lived here with me. So how can I not feel that even more so? And I do. I miss them dearly, and I didn't know I was gonna feel this as much as I do, because I handle it pretty good and I keep myself busy, and I'm a busy one anyway, so keeping busy is not a problem for me. It's what I do. But I just miss them dearly. And now, if we back up to when they were living here, my granddaughter, we noticed it more from the age of like 10, 11. When they got her, she got her a phone. I swear to God, a phone. And I'm gonna say it, it's anybody who has kids of that age, and we're in a different world, and I know it with the phones, and there's a part of you that says, oh, but they need them. They need their cell phone. We're living in, the days of, God bless us. We all know, the tragedies that different schools and things that have happened across the country over the years, and so they need a phone to make contact and be safe these days. You can't leave them for too long, and it's not like when we were growing up. I'm 73 now, so my growing up years were the later 50s and the 60s, and right, I was a teenager right up until I graduated class of 71. I was 18 years old, so those were my growing up years. And yeah, you could walk the streets in your neighborhood all day. As long as you checked in by supper time, you were good to go. Nobody really worried about you or had to, for the most part. Um, and I know times are different in that, but my granddaughter is more of a introverted personality as opposed to an extrovert, and that's fine too. I almost would probably rather have her be that than an extrovert. And I say that, and yet with um some what's the word, thought towards, she spends a lot of time, she's an only child, so she does spend a lot of time in her room, you know, she does have friends. She made some, Gina, my daughter told me some newer friends at school. She somewhat likes school, but school's not really her thing. Well, school wasn't my thing. School wasn't her mother's thing. So it's not like they have to be bright and bubbly and happy all the time. No, but you just want to make sure they're okay. And ever since she's turned this 13 and now a teenager, um, she's lately, my daughter's sending me little, messages that, I love her, but I don't enjoy her right now at this age. And I know that she's trying to kind of, my granddaughter, she's trying to, um, every kid at that age is trying to find themselves, and she has had a lot of transition recently, so we're all trying to be patient with that. And she does have some what's the word we want, learning challenges at times, and she knows that. We're all aware of that. Nothing outrageous or anything. So every kid's got some little thing, and you wouldn't want them perfect, like putting in their batteries. And I don't know. I just know that I feel deeply that I wish I was closer so I could see her and hold her and give her a hug and talk to her. And yet she's at that age in her life where, you know, she might not come up to me if I was to walk in the door right now and hug me, even though I haven't seen her since August. And I do talk to her a couple of times on the phone, and we video chat here and there, but I don't push that too much. I wanted it to be an every Wednesday thing, but and even my daughter loves her job. She changed job. Things happened with the job she did have, and she got out of it, and one would think that would never happen, but it didn't. But she's happy for the change, and things are good with her job. She loves it, and sometimes change is good. And my granddaughter seems to like her PE class, she told me, and she's not real talkative, but even living here, she wasn't the last year or so. And then I have to think back to, okay, think hard about, I'm 73, so going back that far is hard, but okay, if I take myself back to when I was 13, well, that would have been, let's see, 50. 63, 64, I was 11, 65, 12, so 66, 1966, I would have been 13. Okay. Well, 66, my parents had divorced, and I'm the youngest of four, and so the Beatles were hot and heavy on the music scene, and My older brother, uh, he was starting in a band. He had started befriended some kids actually here in town because we lived here in town when my parents did divorce. And then we went with my mother and we had to go live in Greenfield in an apartment, and she took this god awful apartment as just she had to find something for. She had 4 teenagers and herself, and she had just divorced my father, and the house was on the market to be sold and the cars and all that. So she had to take this apartment as just like a layover type apartment till she found a better one. It was just a stepping stone kind of apartment. And we knew that. And she had said that to all of us. But it was, honest to God, it was a fire trap of an apartment. And it was in East Greenfield, which they call Cheapside. They call it. And so, and it's over by, a stinky junkyard. And so you had those smells going on. It was a time in my life where, like I said, she took this apartment. It was up on the 3rd floor of this older house. And the bizarre thing of that is that this house we lived in as little guys, little kids, babies, toddlers. In our younger years, when our parents were first starting out, we lived in this very same house we rented, but yet we lived on the 1st floor. So that's how she probably knew the landlord or whatever and connected and was able to get this apartment. But it's now up on the 3rd floor, and you had to go up these winding, narrow stairs to get to the 3rd floor. And I'm telling you, I don't even remember if there was a fire escape. There had to have been, but I don't really remember it. But anyway, if there had been a fire in that house, I tell you, with us there, it would have been quite the scene trying to get out of there. But it was it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, older home. The bedrooms were kind of big, so us girls had one and the boys had the other. So my mom set up a twin bed in this little hallway as you come in the door at the top of the stairs coming in. That was her bedroom. So she gave up all that for us, which was nice of her. So poor thing, she slept in a twin bed in a hallway. And there was a little living room. There were big cracks in the walls. I remember it was all like plaster walls, just really old, kind of a dark, not the most pleasant apartment. The kitchen was painted this god-awful pink. I remember that, and old cupboards and just not an attractive kitchen you wanted to cook in or be in. I can remember, yeah, the bathroom had little pitch ceilings, just a little nothing of a bathtub and a bathroom, but that was it. And just really didn't like living there that time in my life. I remember that. And what was even worse is that the school where we went to school was in Greenfield. And at the time, that age, I was in middle school. And my sister and brothers were in freshman year of high school. And I believe I was in like 8th grade. Okay. Well, and then my other brother was probably like a sophomore in high school. That's how it went down. That's how close in age we all were. 2 twins, my older brother, and I'm the youngest. Okay. And so the school, the high school, the middle school was being renovated by the town at the time. So we did not get to go to the actual middle school at that time. We had to be housed, the middle school kids, all of them had to come up to the high school. So that meant double sessions for the high school. So the high school kids' schedule then became earlier in the day. So they had to arrive like an hour or two earlier than normal. And then their day ended at like 1 o'clock, something like that, 1:30, 2 o'clock. So we started the middle school. We were bused from East Greenfield. So you're now taking a bus in a town you know nothing about. None of us really were happy about going to Greenfield because we heard it was, tough crowd kind of school. And so, and it's funny because I end up working there later years, but anyway, I'll get there. So, we going through a divorce and wearing all those emotions, and now, you don't get to go to the school you thought you were going to. They're being housed up to the high school. So now there's high school kids coming out, and you're, eighth grader. I was eighth grader, young, and so that was a little intimidating. But then, they're done, and then you go in and you're a middle schooler walking into the high school, and it's winter time, and so that meant it gets dark here in New England by 4 o'clock. And so you come out of your classes at the high school and you don't know where you're going, and everything's foreign. And the high school was all windows at the time. And you came down the stairs and out, and the buses would be parked at this end where it was all glass windows. And I remember just feeling like I'm in this crazy dream of a maze of where am I going? And I hate this. I hated the apartment we lived in. I didn't like getting out in the dark of the school, getting on a bus, driving over to Cheapside that time. All of it just did not set well with me. And I think my other siblings kind of felt the same way, but they didn't. Maybe it didn't bother them quite so much. I don't know. But it really bothered me. But I kept a lot of it to myself. I was quiet. I was probably introverted too, or shy. I was more shy than anything. No confidence. No confidence. And so maybe I have to think about that when I think of my granddaughter right now, who's not overly, let's say, showing her affectionate side right now. She's trying to find out who she is. She is and she isn't. I don't mean to say she's horrible in that regard, but just you see those as she's, and you don't want to push issues or force her to hug you or force a hug or force a conversation from her, or so you're dealing with all, it's very delicate times right now. And I can remember and I have to think about that. So where am I going with what I'm trying to say is, it's like, how do I, as a parent, how does her mother, as a mother who's there with her, who's saying to me, I love her, but I don't care for her necessarily right now. Now, let me just back up a bit. I remember with my daughter at that age, she put me through HE double L, double hockey puck stick, and the puck too. At that age for a good year and a half, maybe from 13 to 15, let's give it 2 years. My life was pure that. Every day was that. And with her, and not so much my son. My son really wasn't. I can say he wasn't. Of course, he had a job early on at 14. He went to school. He did what he was told. Whatever he was doing out there at school and with his friends, I learned about some things later on. But overall, I mean, overall, they're both very good kids. I mean, what was going on with my daughter was low self-esteem. She was a little heavy for her age and she didn't like herself. School shopping for clothes for her was a nightmare and, oh, awful. And yeah, I felt for her deeply. And as a parent, I tried everything I could uh, do, anything I could afford. I tried getting her into some therapy. I tried getting her into, like a Weight Watchers program for her age. And yet, I remember one time I brought her over near to the library, and she went in a room with older women, and even the lady said to me, "This is really not for her age group, but we'll take her if you." I mean, I tried everything to get her into some kind of therapy, counseling, where where anything where the goal was to learn to like yourself better and appreciate everything about yourself and who you were, and she'll tell you that I did try, and we're close to this day, and she loves me dearly, but I'm just saying those years she put me through the mill, and she admits it. She'll tell you that. And so I keep reminding her now, well, remember, this is the age where you and I had, the testy, 13, 14, 15, and it lasted for a while. And I'm talking really bad, very controlling. And I was the one she was closest to, because she was really angry at her dad for having to live in an unfinished house, and getting laughed at, and the house had black tar paper on it, and no siding, and I could go on and on, and I have, and a couple other videos you can watch, and I talk about all that, and those are other videos, but that was some of what my daughter was going through, and I was going through a lot with her father too, and my own set of circumstances and feelings and emotions going on. So there was all of that. And so when I look back, there's a reason for those emotions. There's a reason, and I'm not there. I'm not there to see, everything that I feel might be going on or whatever. And I don't need to be, I guess. I mean, it's not my place. She has her mother and her parents and her stepdad or whatever. And I can only hope that everything's fine. And my daughter's a good mother and trying her darndest too to make sure everything goes accordingly. And it's just, I'm sure if I was to talk about to a dozen families in a room across America, I'm going to find kind of the same emotions and feelings that I'm feeling, or other grandmothers who are distant in miles from their grandkids, and it's a new change, and that they're probably feeling a lot of the same thing, right? And I don't have the answers. I mean, I just hope and pray every night when I lay my head on my pillow that the good Lord is protecting her, my grandchild, and guiding her with his loving hands, and having his best angels walk with her each and every day, and keeping her safe and protected, and let her mind grow into good, positive places, that she's surrounded with other kids her age who have good morals, raised with good morals, have good vibes, good energy. That's my hope, and keep her upbeat. I mean, we don't always have to be so bubbly that we burst, but you know what I mean. Just I worry, and there's so much of that today, where middle school is that really difficult age, and you just I'm trying so hard to do little things like send a card here and there, let her know, and call her on a little Zoom video call once in a while, but yet I don't even know what to say some days, because I'm not familiar with her school, and I'm not familiar with her friends, and I know nothing. Whereas, and this is the hard part, is that she was my world, my everything for the first 12 years. I mean, I'm talking on the daily. I had her here through COVID, and this was her kindergarten years, COVID, and we had to do it, her schooling, on a computer and log in every day. And even then, she didn't want anything to do with school. She'd sit there with a blanket over her head and her stuffed animal, and she wasn't having it. So school is not really her thing, and never really has been. And so my hope there is that she gets that one teacher that inspires her to want to show up every day and do good and do right. And one of the things I've taught her, and I hope she always remembers, is, what's the one thing they call me nanny? I'm her nanny. And what they, what if I taught you, what do you, and I have to kind of remind her, always do the right thing. And I can only hope on the day I leave this planet that girl can sit down with you and say, the one thing I learned from my nanny was to always do the right thing. I miss her. I'm sorry. And I worry. I do worry. And they live near the ocean, and at 16 or so, she can get her license. You just hope that they surround themselves with good kids and good people and walk a good path. That's all I ask. And am I asking too much? Because we can't control that. Not really. My cat. Anywho, that's where I didn't know I was gonna get emotional. But anywho, I've got a little towel here. I guess I'll have to use that. Excuse me, folks. Anyhow, that's, but I do try to reflect back to when I was 13, and I was very shy. Men intimidated me, and that took place for a number of years. It wasn't until later in years that I got over that and gained my confidence. But I was a very shy one, and didn't and because of that and lacked that confidence, it also, for people that I cared about on an intimate level and meeting guys and stuff, that's the one thing that I also think my lack of confidence in myself and self-esteem kept me from something that could have been wonderful in my life, but I never felt good enough, And so, trying to give her that, and, my granddaughter, I mean, I painted with her. We'd sit and do drawings and paintings, acrylic, and crafted with her, and I baked with her, and I tried to always teach her the right thing. And I feel like I've lost that. I've lost that grasp on her that I had, and the influence. I hope that I've given her enough and something to take with her. I can only hope that. Yeah. But anyway, I've did a video where I could share some of my emotions and feelings, and those are my feelings today, and they have been building for a while. She's on my mind every day since they've been gone, and I don't get a lot of interaction with her, and I don't know if that's going to change. And she's 13, and you go back to 13. I wasn't close to my grandparents. The only set I had were my father's parents, and they weren't really close to us. That not maybe more so my cousins and that, but not really us. So I can't say that I had that I wanted to be with my grandparents at that age by any means. No, but I think had I had what I gave her, I would want to have spent more time with my grandmother, and she loves me dearly. I know she does, and yet it's that missing her, missing, yeah, when you have somebody so close to you and then they're gone, and they're growing up, and some of the things you see coming out of that at certain ages, you know. And yet, like I said, my daughter is a beautiful person and a dear, and yet I did not care for her at that age. Oh, I really didn't. Loved her, of course. I'm her mother. I'll always love her, but I did not care for her at that age, but it's because a lot of what she was dealing with, she was a bit rebellious, and maybe that's what we're seeing a little bit with my granddaughter. And yet I can't imagine. I know she enjoys, well, from what my daughter tells me, she enjoys the area. She's got a nice home to live in, a nice room to herself. She's got friends at school, new friends. She still communicates with some of her friends from Vermont. Um, yeah. Um, I don't know. I know she does lack some confidence in herself, and that could be some of it too. Maybe she's feeling she's not good enough, or can't. She's comparing herself probably, and she would my granddaughter gets frustrated when she doesn't get something. So, but they're working with her on that. She has help and different programs with that at school. So I can only hope she's getting the right um, attention to and getting those needs met. I believe they are. And my daughter says they're on it and stuff. So my daughter did just take her to a Renaissance fair down there, and she had like red flowers in her hair, and she had a rabbit's foot and a spider dragon ring or something, and some other tokens that they picked up. And I think they had a nice day, but it's they're in their own little world a little bit at that age too. But I know, getting back to what I was going through at that age, I did not like the world that I was in, and couldn't wait for it to pass. And eventually we moved out of that apartment. We were only there for maybe half a year. And I was grateful. And we did go into a better part of town and a better apartment, and things got a little bit better, and got a few more friends and stuff. So yeah, um, things don't always stay the same, and I know that. But yeah, can only hope that things do get a little bit. But I remember, one thing. My mom at that time was going through her own set of challenges and needs, and she seemed to be gone a lot, and my other three siblings were all kind of hanging out more together. I was the one, I didn't get invited anywhere. I was the chubby one, and during that time I must have been eating my emotions because I was gaining weight living in that apartment. Well, and I can remember my mother setting us down one day, and I think it was not my older brother, but my other brother, the twin, and my sister, and me and my mother sitting in the kitchen. And I was really angry at my mother this day because she was harsh on me about gaining weight. And I didn't think that that was fair. She said something about, you're gaining a lot of weight. Well, yeah, I was gaining weight. I was eating. That's probably the only fun I was having, was eating a donut or something. And God knows we're on a poor man's diet, so it was a lot of carbs. What was she expecting me to do? They didn't take me anywhere, didn't do anything with me. I was left alone in that apartment in the evenings. The other siblings were gone with my brother's band friends. My sister had a bad crush on one of the band members, and the other brother was hanging out because he was a drummer. So the three of them were off with that set of friends, but I didn't get invited because I was the chubby sister. So I got left home at 13. So what did I do? I stole some of her change, probably from her pocketbook, God forbid, enough to buy myself a pack of cigarettes. And I smoked those cigarettes till I was blue in the face, puffing out the bedroom window in the middle of, I think this was spring or summer, maybe it was winter. I don't know. I think it was winter. But anyway, I almost passed out one night. I remember smoking one right after the other. I didn't know what I was doing. But I was so lonely. And I was so angry at my mother at that age. I loved my mother, and she was a good mother overall. But, she had her things going on in her life, so she really wasn't paying too much attention to what I was doing. And I had needs too. We were all going through something. Yeah. I remember she bought me a little box of those AIDS diet Weight Watcher type candy, chocolate things. You put them in a hot cup of tea. I think I probably lost a couple pounds, but my big thing was I needed exercise, but I also needed inspiration, and I needed to know I was thought about and cared about. Yeah. Thank God this too shall pass, and it did. Thank God for those. We all go through some times in our lives, though, that really aren't what you'd, set the table for. Anyhow, I didn't know I was going there with all that. But yeah, there were a couple of times when I was really mad at my mom. And so I have to look back at those things, and maybe there's something Kennedy's going through that we don't really totally understand. She's been through a lot of changes. She seems to be doing okay, and I can only, like I said, pray and hope that, she just continues to grow and mature and get stronger. And, all of your kids too, whoever you are, who's watching this, yeah, let's pray together that our young people make it through middle school and high school and those years and pick good friends and, are surrounded by good, supporting, loving, encouraging, kind people, right? That's our prayer for this evening. Oh Lord, hear my prayer tonight and every night, as you know, because you know all things and you know me. So I'm just going to go there and repeat. I pray for my granddaughter and my daughter and her family and all my family and friends and relatives, but most importantly, my little Kennedy right now. She's not little, she's getting older. Guide her with your loving angels, dear God, and protect her with your loving hands, and keep her out of harm's way each and every day and every moment of every day. Guide her to the right path, Lord. Show her the way. Show us the way. Give us the answers, dear Lord. I love you and love me, I pray. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be real. And this was real. I have more. I have more feelings, more emotions, more stories. And yeah, just keep coming back and joining me, and we'll do this, okay? I love you. If you're new here, welcome. I hope I've given you enough to think about coming back. Like, share, do all those fun things you're supposed to do. If you want to subscribe and you feel so inclined, I would love that. But most importantly, comment. I love your comments, and I love to know where you're from. I just love that. So until we meet again, I certainly hope the universe provides. I truly do. Thank you now. Bye-bye.